Hello, Inspi family, and thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Inspiwords podcast as we continue with the Father's Love series. I have a bonus episode for you because I love you guys so much. And today I have a close friend of mine. His name is JB. He always says he's very, very, very married. Very, very, very married. He's married to Ball of Fire and JB Nevari. And I really appreciate you, JB. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Ndaba, it's such an honor to be coming here on your platform. I really appreciate it big, big time.
Have you listened to the previous
I listened
episodes?
I listened to two, Zama and Tando, guys.
What's your thoughts? This is nice.
I think I could easily relate because that is somewhat my experience
Okay.
with my father. It's littered with positive experiences, and even the ones that I would say are not so nice. That overall environment of a positive experience has given me a very wide opportunity to frame my lens to then always go to the other side and extract something positive from those not so nice experiences. So there's never a day where I think of my father and there's probably pain or an ill experience or an ill memory. When I think of my dad, I just light up
Okay.
because that's the narrative he has sort of like penciled over my life. So when I had Zama, she also had so many positive experiences with the father, and the same with Tando. I still have to catch up on the other ones. Work has just been hectic.
I understand.
Yeah,
I
but
understand.
yeah, those are my reflections so far. When because obviously I listen from where I'm at. I
Are
listen.
there like specific things that you were like, okay, this exactly is related to my experience?
Yeah, I think I can extract a couple. But obviously I think the one that I was also like, was Tanukazi's one when they had the sex talk.
That one has really just broken the internet.
I don't know if my father has had a sex talk with my sisters. I don't know.
But he did with you.
Not quite. In passing, as a joke. But I'm not sure if he sent my uncle. So my uncle is the last born in my father's clan. He's now like a big brother to us because he's like a son to my father, but he's our uncle. Yeah. So I don't know. The day I got married, the uncle then called me to be giving me slides on how I need to destroy. So he was telling me like the actual mechanics of how to please my wife. So I don't know if they sent each other or
It could be.
I think one thing that my dad just said, I think he just told me that I think I can see that you're still strong. So he's not worried. And then if I ever run into a crisis, I must come. But before getting married,
I think there's evidence of the strength.
a lot of evidence. So before that, we have not had a sex talk with my dad. I think it was always just the principled talk.
I see.
Say, this is a no-go area. This is a no-go area. This is a no-go area. And even though we're speaking in codes, but we could hear what's being said.
Why do you think there was so much coding?
I think it's because of the gravity, the gravity of having that conversation. As people who lived in their generation, who are trying to break the barrier of being present parents to their children, and they don't have a template for that because their parents were somewhat distant.
Yeah.
Because I remember my grandfather and grandmother, did not sleep in one room.
Even my father's side actually.
Yes, they didn't sleep in one room. So my father didn't grow up seeing his mom and his dad at night entering the same room. My grandmother would go to another room, and then my grandfather's room was at the corner. So I think they would wait for everyone to sleep, and then my grandmother would sneak because she would sleep with some of them, and then she would sneak over to the command, and they would sort out their business. Then 4 a.m. you know.
Okay.
So to complete the thought, so obviously then I then saw my parents living together in that way. They sleep together, they eat together, they travel together, everything they do. But I didn't see them being affectionate. So there was that layer they broke. But then when it then comes to then talking about certain things, it demanded so much from them that they probably did not have. That's why then the coded language
Made it easy for them.
Made it easy for them. And they could just make examples. I don't want to sound like that boy. So that boy
and it's communicating something.
That boy is a boy who's destroying the streets. So they tell I don't want a boy like that, so
I see.
Yeah.
What I wanted to also hear from you is, the story, that the narrative around PKs, most of the time you would find that some of them are, or like most of them would resent the church and the faith because their parents spent so much time, invested so much time in the church and the ministry to the detriment of their families, such that, the children feel like as much as their fathers are there and present, but they're actually absent. What are your thoughts on that, and what's your experience?
I do not in any way minimize the experiences of other children who were probably brought up in pastoring families, and they felt the parents were away.
Yeah,
it's a true fact. Myself, I also cannot glorify my childhood experience. I didn't get to play a lot because when I was still young, I then had to learn how to play the keyboard.
But that's playing, right?
No. The painful part was in that when I would have to be at rehearsal on Saturday, my friends would be playing soccer.
Hey.
And me, I wanted to play soccer more. But the point that I started with to say that the overall pie chart of my father to me is a positive experience.
Yeah.
Even now at this point, when I look back at playing moments that I missed, I somewhat still see much more value in him plugging me into the lifeblood of the ministry. So what that did then for me, I never felt that my mom and dad were absent. And and the way our church is set up, our churchyard is our neighbor. Yeah, our churchyard is our neighbor at home. So just across is the church.
The mission house.
Is the mission, my home was called Mission. And after church, it's a conference at my house.
Yeah.
Just everyone, plays are just flying all over. I think because my dad plugged me particularly very early into the lifeblood of the ministry. Because, I was playing, I was part of the band, and it was the I was doing that.
Yeah.
Somewhat I was always with him. Or somewhat he was always where I was at. I never felt I am deserted because my dad is choosing ministry over. People would come. Some people would come to live over at our house. Some we liked, some we didn't like.
And what happened when you didn't like them?
It was not nice. Okay, so probably that's one of the things when I look back,
Yeah.
I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
Based on how we treated them. We're just not nice.
Yo.
Yeah, we were not nice. But we understood that's how things are. I still don't have an ill experience or ill memory of that. And then there are some who came and we were so happy that they were there. I mean, my dad at some point, because he was a teacher, matric students from his school, you'd find like 15 girls.
Yo.
are coming to live in our home to prepare for exams.
Sure.
I was still young. Probably I didn't understand what was going on. So I was just like, oh, they're here so that they can study and they can pass.
Yeah.
That at that particular time, I was young and I had very great relationships with those ladies. They were much more senior, and I was like grade 5 and they were in matric. I enjoyed their company. And to date, even when I meet some of them, we are quite good. I don't know, maybe my older siblings, because probably they had some cognitive abilities already. They were like, hey, this man. And probably I'm in a space where I might do that. I feel like I'm in a space where
Bolofai, are you ready?
you see, so I feel like that experience, I still don't know how my mother was taking that. I don't know if they were fighting there in the secret chambers.
They would never show you guys.
You know, but from my point of view to date, even when I think about it, there's absolutely no sadness. And can I also touch on this? I don't know if I should say it was a seed or not. When I then go to matric, my principal then took me in.
And did the same thing your father
did
was
the
doing
same-
to these other
I can tell you now for a fact, the reason why I went to those to stay with principal was because my maths grades were not so great. I was never going to make it to vets. So I don't know if I can say I would be where I am today if principal had not opened his house for me
Sure.
to come and stay.
Sure.
So even now when I look in hindsight, I understand what my dad was trying to do and I support it. Other people might have had ill experiences and I understand it, but from
your point
story,
of view, it's
I'm
different.
like, you are a champion, you.
Yeah, and you might be doing the same.
I just might. Lord help me. I don't know.
Okay. One thing about relationships that I have noted, especially father-child, parent-child relationship, is memories. And I just want to pick your brain on this.
Yeah.
What are some of the most the most special memories you've had with your dad?
Oh, I have a lot. Oh, I have a lot. I have so many.
Give me like a pivotal one, like a life-changing one, and the funniest one you've had.
The funniest one that I've had probably, I'll cluster. He makes fun of people, and he just says the most hilarious things. Yeah, and those are just many. But I think the funny one is when there was a time he had I should say an orchard or a garden or whatever. We were doing cabbages there. And so there was this other guy that who was working with us. So I was still young, probably grade 2. So to go to that garden, we climb a mountain. It's on sort of like on the other side of a mountain.
Yeah.
So it's very rocky. And you have to be crossing rivers and stuff like that. So we would walk. And then when we get to that river place, rocky place, my dad would put me on his back. That was a custom. Until this one time when we were coming down, and then so we walk. And then when we get to that difficult area, he would then put me on his back. We go. And then somewhere we got, so Akiri is wearing his working shoes. And then you are crossing river, so your shoes get wet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then when you then walk on dry sand, your shoes then accumulate the sand. And then as we were walking, and I think he then stepped on a stone and his shoe is covered now with sand. So he then slips. So it was a very easy slip. So somehow, I don't know how he did it, but he managed to then get me off his back while he's falling.
Sure.
So we are falling, we're going down, but where we are going, it's sandy.
Yeah.
So he then somehow took me and threw me
On the sand.
I fell on the sand. And then when I sorted himself out, he slid.
Sure.
So yeah, that was a funny moment. That guy who we were with, he didn't laugh, but I think when he got home, he was probably telling his people there was a massive accident, road accident fund. So yeah, but I was still very young. So this one, I think it's because probably it's vivid, and it was not a person to person. It was not a person to person engagement like face to face. It was on text, but it's something he has been doing, ever since probably 2015, when I started not accepting but appreciating and putting effort on my calling.
Sure.
He has always affirmed me, but the most recent one hit me. It's the day I was preaching for Pastor Martin.
Oh yeah.
And then I sent him a picture. And then his response was, "I'm proud of you, son."
Sure.
It just,
Yeah. What does something like that do to you,
man,
man?
I
Yo.
I just feel like I can take on the world.
Sure.
And I just feel, yo, at that moment, nothing mattered. And even now, what it wires me, it just gives me such a positive outlook on life. To say my father is proud of the work he has put on me and the man I'm becoming. And yeah, that thing just, it just hit me at the right place, man. And that was like a few weeks ago.
Wow.
But we have a lot of those, like even dating back when I was elected as a head boy, extremely
Kev
proud.
Chairperson.
Kev Chairperson. When Kev came over to our village for the mission, yeah, he was very proud because he then saw the system that I had plugged in, and he was just proud of that. So yeah, it's moments where I don't doubt that my dad is proud of me.
So tell me, based on your experience of your relationship with your father, how would you describe the father's love?
Yeah, the father's love is I don't know if I should say a starter pack, but at the same time that it's a starter pack, it's a propelling force. It's a firm foundation. Yet it becomes a very safe cushion, but a very strong motivation at the same time. So a father's love has a 360 circumference around you. It covers you on all sides. It says go for it, and if you fail or if you fall down, I'm here. A father's love says, I'm giving you my bait. Go for it. You can do it. So it's extremely fundamental, and I think probably that's why God has decided to identify Himself as love and identify Himself as a father, because that thing is so powerful. It's it's a need. It's a need. Anyone who's legitimately crying for a father's love and they don't have it, their cry is legit. Yeah, no, it's legitimate. Because that thing, Ndaba, what it will do for you as a young man, it will just protect you, it will ground you, it will push you, it will motivate you. It's a coat of many colors that when you wear, I am a guy.
Okay, you can preach about Joseph.
It's-
Unpack the coat of many colors.
So the idea and the imagery that I bring the coat of many colors, it's a token of affirmation.
Yeah.
But the imagery behind the many colors is to affirm what is on the sun, that what is on you is multidimensional. It's not just one color. Many people will experience your beauty in many different ways. And that's the capacity you have as my son to say that there's probably many nations of many races, many experiences coming from different walks of life that will find refuge in you. And we see that becoming true in Joseph's life, where now nations flock to the nation of Egypt in a time of famine, and they get refuge from a product of an economic system built on the back of a gift of Joseph. So that's the multifacetedness that the coat of many colors affirms on the young man. So the reason why I say that the father's love is a coat of many colors is because it comes to do so many things in one's life, and it interfaces with me as a child on so many levels, and it's just deeply imprinted in everything I do.
Sure. That's deep.
Yeah, and it does not answer to a deficit. It's the foundation for strength. To say the need for a father's love and the need for a constant affirmation from my father is not a deficit. It's I don't want to say it's energy, but I want to say it's a source of strength. It's a source of power. It's a source of inspiration. When I want to drink from my father and his affirmation, it's not because there's something I'm lacking, but that's the fuel I need. That's the fuel an individual.
It's just a natural ecosystem.
Yes, it's a natural ecosystem. That thing is a need. It has been built into how things are supposed to be. It's a coat of many colors.
Sure. So tell me then. It seems like you've got such a beautiful relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the reasons why I wanted you in this bonus episode of the Father's Love
Yeah.
series. I've spoken to people that have had a good relationship with their fathers, but their fathers have passed. But yours is still alive, and you still have that constant relationship with him.
Yeah.
And just now you spoke about one of the experiences of affirmation
Yep.
with your dad. But I think what I want to learn from you, having met your father as well in the past, is what would you say is the crucial or the key ingredient or ingredients in your relationship with your father that has made it such a beautiful relationship that when we look at it from outside, we admire it and we desire it and we see how we are able to see its beauty from outside. It's not faked, but we can actually see that it's a good relationship, objectively so.
Sure. No, two things, and that's a proper question, and I'll answer it from my space, right?
Sure.
Two things. Firstly, and if I don't go to the second one, please remind me. Two things. I think over and above that, this guy is my father, which I'll try to touch on, like the natural touch to it. There's a very spiritual component between my father and I. Much of the times that God has spoken to me about my calling and my purpose in life, my father is sort of like I'm the extension at a spiritual level. And my first interaction with my calling in life, the imagery was, there was no ambiguity around that. It was literally that you are an extension of this guy. And that understanding is there between us. I value that so much. I value that so much. And I don't wish it could be another way. My thing with my dad is probably similar to that thing of Timothy and his grandmother. When Paul says, I recognize the faith that you have, but I saw it in your grandmother. That's my thing. I think what is on me is literally just an extension of what my father carries. It's probably just playing, not probably, definitely, it's playing in a new generation, probably being administrated differently on a different audience or whatever the case might be. But every strength that I have, all of them, I can pin them back to my dad. Even some of the weaknesses that I have, all of them, I can pin them back to my dad. Being harsh and being rough. Yeah, my timer is like that. So that's a very sure foundation that regardless of our differences, that one thing, we did not decide it to be so. It's a conversation that is happening above us. And we both have a common understanding that I need to glean as much as I can from this man. And he needs to pour out so much that he can on this. And our commitment to that, before we commit to ourselves, we've committed ourselves to God in that dynamic. So I have a promise with God that I'll drink as much as I can from him. And he has committed that he will pour out as much as he can on me.
Can you describe for me that gleaning and pouring process?
Okay, and then don't make
Yeah, we'll go to the second one.
So for me, gleaning, as I begin to grow, there are things that I then do on my own end, where I don't involve him like on an interactive basis, but I then view his life and the choices he has made, the great ones and the not so great ones, and I am deliberate of trying to come out of the other side better, regardless. So if he made a great choice, I want to make a greater one. If he made not so a great choice, I want to make at least a great one. That's my dad is a case study to me. I study him, and I fell in love. I fell more in love with him when I realized his weaknesses and his mistakes. Some of them we've not spoken about, some of them we've spoken about. But he became such a legitimate father to me when I could then see the full picture of his strengths and his weaknesses. And then the second part of the gleaning is then, which is probably the interfaces with him pouring out, is him speaking down on me, but not speaking on me. When he speaks to me, he's not speaking to the 25-year-old or to the 15-year-old.
Yeah.
But he's speaking to the mature man that God has destined me to become.
Sure.
And he calls out the greatness out of me. Whether it's in a rebuke, whether it's in in affirmation. But if he's disappointed, it's because there's a pre-decided notion that you are better than this, you are bigger than this, and you can do better.
Oh, yes.
So even when it's a rebuke, I'm not being called out, I'm being called up.
Oh,
So there's that. That's why I'm saying that we sort of like both have a commitment that we've made to say, I will drink from you and you are constant. And he probably exposes me to everything he's exposed to. The connections that he has. He wants to plug me. And sometimes they're just too many. And sometimes I just feel like I'm not ready.
Sure.
Books, most of the books that I have is the one who's giving me. If he has, there's a nice preacher somewhere, he wants me to know them. And if he gets access to them, he's definitely going to tell them about me and just try to plug me, So that's
He understands that human connections matter.
proper. No, proper. He's in a month, few weeks time. He's flying out to the US for the first time.
Sure.
And it's literally a connection that he has.
Yeah.
That's getting him flown, flown out, whatever the correct word is. You're not gonna cut this part out. So my dad understands human connections. Then on the second part, so I've touched on that, what I believe is very spiritual. But then on the natural side, I really have to give him all of the credit. It's extremely how, and probably it's a natural cause and a disposition he has taken deliberately. But it's his extreme patience with me. Ndaba, I tell you,
He's harsh and patient at the same time.
yes, extremely patient with me. You see, me, I'm a last born. I don't know how he does it, but there's a thing he does where I'm literally, I can feel that I'm being a last born here. And I'm probably throwing unnecessary tantrums. Ndaba, if you hear me and my dad taking each other on, you will think I'm the most disrespectful person. And you will think I don't honor my dad. And there are a few times where he has told me to stop something. And I stop. But when it just comes to us getting on the ring and we're battling ideas, me and my dad are like peers. That patience and that room he has opened then also extends to every other thing about my life. He just has this wide door of allowing me to explore whatever I want to explore, even though he thinks it's wrong. He'll be patient with me to try it out. And then if it doesn't work out, when I come back, he will receive me. So there's this extreme patience that because sometimes I do stuff, and sometimes I say stuff. Then 2 years later, when I've probably grown from that point, I was like, what the hell was that? How did he take that? But he took it, he protected me, and he called me up. So there's just this wide layer of patience that he has towards me. And some people have said it's being spoiled.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm spoiled. I've seen what spoiled people become, and I've not become anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not spoiled. I've been raised very well.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's this large layer of patience that he has given me. So I think that has impacted how our relationship is.
And what would you say is the most important lesson you have learned from your dad?
Probably the most important one, if I can highlight one, and I see more of this as I grow. As a man and as a father, you are a line of defense. You are a line of defense.
Unpack that.
My father defends us. I've even seen it play out in things that are beyond our family, where he's involved. He's a defender in the sense that he will stand and protect the cause of whatever he's involved in. Growing up, obviously, he was just a teacher. Tried out some businesses, but there's just no one which got the big breakthrough. But some of them took us to school. Did ministry. So there were times where we would miss our school fees. But never a day where we ever thought when it matters most, Dad will not be there.
Sure.
He will definitely be there. When we come from school trips, when the bus arrives, you'd find cars of other parents waiting for children, and the children, the parents waiting at the door of the bus just to pick up. Me, usually I was not that child. Me, I was the child to just get off, go find a place to chill and sit and wait for my dad because he was late. But never any day did I
You were
ever think,
sure that
he's coming. No, he's coming. No, this man defends me. It doesn't matter. When I was in matric, before I moved in with the principal, sometimes I would leave extra lesson at like 6:30 when it was already dark, and I would have to catch taxis, and it would already be dark. As long as my phone was on, I knew wherever the taxi is ending, I will get home. And I've seen it. I don't know if probably I should use this example. So I also have two sisters who were both married at some point, but their marriages did not work out. And just that post-marriage experiences for both of them, regardless of whether they were right or wrong, I've seen how he has defended them from their ex-husbands. I've seen how he has defended them from the people that were trying to injure them. I've seen how he has literally put for his siblings. For my dad is a defender.
How has that shaped the man you've become?
It has shaped the man I've become in the way that I think for the people around me and the things around me that matter to me, I will fight for them. I will not allow them to be lynched over nothing or to be killed over nothing. It links very well with what I believe probably might be the zenith of fatherhood, which is a responsibility. I just have this innate proclivity to want to fight for a cause. And I think it's because I just saw him step up so many times and fight for stuff and defend stuff, even when it was not popular to do so. That's a very great lesson that I'm growing to appreciate. Just guard what is around you. Just defend what is around you. Yeah, and I think it speaks to the mandate to protect.
Sure.
Guard and protect this garden.
Very powerful stuff.
Power.
Very powerful stuff. There's someone who's listening to this. They've never had that experience.
Yeah.
You spoke about the coat of many colors. They don't know what it's
Yeah.
like. They've never had the experience of gleaning from their father and their father pouring into them. What would you say to that kind of a young person who, as you were saying, the longing for this father figure is a legit one? Someone who has that kind of longing, who has that kind of desire to have a father figure in their lives, but they don't have.
Sure.
Well, how would you encourage them?
You know, as human beings, we're like an elastic band, right? Whatever direction we're stretched to, we'll always try to pull something back to normal. Like however long we're stretched, we'll always try. So what I want to say might be a problematic thought. I want to say probably the first place that you should come to if you did not have anything similar to what I experienced. I think acknowledge that things were not supposed to be so.
Yeah.
It was not supposed to be so.
Yeah.
And what we tend to do is, obviously there's a scripture, Romans 8:28, that says all things work together
For the good of
for the
those.
good. So if you grew up without a father, under normal circumstances, that's not how things were supposed to be. And I wouldn't come here and say God planned it to be so, that you grew up without fatherly guidance. It was not supposed to be so. And probably acknowledge that from a place of healing, and from a place of strength, to say it was not supposed to be so. And probably your father not being there somehow probably has contributed probably to positive things that have happened in your life after the fact. And I can literally just say that's God coming in because he knows how to turn things that were meant for your harm to work for your good. He just turned it. But under normal circumstances, it was not supposed to be so. I think there are many avenues where that can be answered. And I'll just highlight two. The first is that there's a place where naturally and cognitively and experientially the fatherhood of God can fill a gap.
Yeah.
Experientially, not hypothetically and not metaphysically, experientially, where God, you can find a father in God, where you can experience that God is my father, or God is the father I never had. That's one of the value propositions of God in this generation that is crying out for fathers. That he is available with an endless room ready to accommodate and to fulfill the needs of those that did not have earthly fathers. And it can be experienced in real time. I know people who didn't have fathers and they really saw their fathers take care of the emotional needs, take care of their financial needs, take them to school, plug them into communities proper, where you can literally say, God is in charge of this one. But then secondly, there are communities where there are people who are ready to play that role. And in our African communities, I think we have a lot of this, where it's either there's a principal, there's a pastor, there's an uncle, there's a mentor, and most of the time, when those people extend that opportunity to fill that gap, even if they might not have the language to come and convince you that you need them, in their mind, they understand that you need that kind of a figure in your life. They might not be articulate to tell you what you're feeling and what you're not feeling and how to, but just availing themselves is because they've assessed that you need that. Take that up.
Sure.
Bring those people in. Allow them to speak over you. I have friends who don't have fathers, but they have figures in their lives whom they've allowed to play that role.
Yeah.
And
So there's also an active role that I need to play as the person who doesn't have a father, to open up and allow.
Absolutely, because they also understand that you are a ticking time bomb. So when they come in, they tread very carefully because they don't want to offend you.
Sure.
Because they know you are hating. Then even if you don't know yet that you are hating, you are supposed to be hating.
Yeah.
So they tread very carefully. So if you are erratic, where at any point you can tell them that, Pella, you're not my father.
Ish.
You are destroying probably the very thing that you need. And I know, guys, the fact that some people who come into that space will probably do some things wrong, and they will probably not be good all the time. Our own biological fathers were not 100% good to us all the time.
Yeah.
So it's common cause. it happens. So but if then the proximity of you exiting that relationship, you continually present it, you are destroying the potential of that relationship being fruitful to you. Give them an opportunity. Those people, even today, they are there. Those people are there today as we speak. There's many of them.
You just have to look around you.
Just have to look around you and identify those that are willing to so yeah. So I think they're there. And the Lord will help.
No, thank you very much, man. This has been quite a fruitful conversation.
No, thanks. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed
It was really great, and there's a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of lessons that we can actually
enjoyed
get
it.
from your relationship with your dad and some of the experiences that you have had.
Yeah. So my parting shot,
Yeah.
guys, if there's one thing that we must hold dearly and we must esteem highly, is responsibility.
Yeah.
Please let us take responsibility
Yeah.
in everything that we have our hand on. Take responsibility over your growth. take responsibility over your safety, the safety of the people around you, the growth of the people around you, and most importantly, your children. As a father, you are a mini God to your child. You have been delegated to be a satellite God
Sure.
to your child. And it has pleased God that you are so. You're a satellite God. So take responsibility and be a good one.
Sure. And I think as part of this thing of taking responsibility, one of the things I love to say, and I think I said this when we did the episodes I did with you on nuance, insights, and more on deficits, that it might not be your fault that you were crushed by the fact that your father was never there.
Sure.
But you've got the responsibility to deal with that. So it's not your fault, as JB was saying earlier, that it was not supposed to be so.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault that that happened. But what you become, you've got to take responsibility to deal with the impact of that.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't do it, nobody will do it for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, man.
No,
I really
thanks for having
appreciate
me,
you.
man. I enjoyed this.
Where do people get your podcast?
So I'm a podcaster, nuanced insights and more. Nuanced insights and more. Nuanced insights and more. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. On Instagram and Facebook, I am Nevari Javero JB Nevari, and very soon we'll be on YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate you joining us for this episode of the Inspiwords podcast. Until next time, give your dreams a chance.